You will not change my mind. I'm here to stay. I'll grind. I'll be the best.
The Bills had an A+ off-season. I mean, it's just excellent. Very exciting to see. This is my first time following any team this closely, and many of you may think that I'm a Bills fan, but technically, I just love football. And when I see a great story, or when I see a football team with a lot of content, I make videos on them. So let's talk about what the Bills did this offseason. Oh man, this is my favorite part. Defense wins championships, and you have to have a championship-minded coach to know how to build a defense. Right now, the GM, Brandon Beane, and Sean McDermott, and the whole Bills front office, they did a great job in the draft when it came to drafting Ed Oliver. This is a great pick. You had some critics say that it was an okay pick. You got others that say that it was a really good pick. I'm one of the others who think that this was a really good pick. Because when you look at the Bills, defense, last year they were ranked number 1 in pass defense, which is excellent. Then they were number 2 in overall defense, but they were ranked number 16 in stopping the run, which is not good. And the AFC East, they like to run the ball. The Dolphins, the Patriots, Jets. So you have to have a solid defensive line. So Ed Oliver is a great replacement to Kyle Williams, and his presence on the defensive line is going to make a huge impact for the Bills this year. The other defensive lineman that the Bills picked in this draft was Daryl Johnson, the 6'6", 254-pound defensive end out of North Carolina A&T. Now, he was the MEAC Player of the Year. This guy has a very high motor. He's an excellent addition to the Bills line, especially with Hughes and Shaq Lawson. This could be potentially one of the NFL's elites when it comes to pass rushing the quarterback, especially this year in 2019. In the 6th round, the Bills drafted Jaquan Johnson out of the University of Miami, and in free agency, the Bills signed Kevin Johnson from the Houston Texans to add depth to an already good secondary. Defense may win championships, but offense has to score the points. So let's talk about the offense and what the Bills signed this offseason on the offensive side of the ball. So we start with the linemen. The Bills know they have their franchise quarterback in Josh Allen, and they have to protect him. And if they want to develop Josh Allen as a quarterback, they know they need a line. And in my last Bills video, in which I talk about how the Bills can build a dynasty, I mentioned that the Bills need to build a strong foundation with their linemen. So what do the Bills do? They sign Mitch Morse. This former Chief started all 49 games, which is very durable for a lineman, because we all know linemen, defense, and offensive, they get the most impact. Every play they're getting hit. So for Mitch Morse to be that durable says a lot. Plus, he has playoff experience. He's been in a championship with the Chiefs last year, so he has that experience that the Bills need. Plus, we all know the center is like the second leader within that offense, and he's basically like the quarterback of the linemen. He has to make sure all the linemen are doing their assignments, so they got a great leader. And the Bills signed more experience. They signed Leandre Waddle from the New England Patriots. This 2-time Super Bowl champion, brings experience. Once again, see, there's that thing again, experience. So the Bills already have 2 solid veterans on the line, which is very important come playoff time. When the elements are against you, when the game's on the line, you have guys that have been there before. They signed John Feliciano from Oakland, and they signed Ty Nsiki from Washington to add depth. But out of all the linemen that the Bills have signed this offseason, my most favorite is the rookie Cody Ford out of Oklahoma. A very excellent pick, because When you look at Cody Ford's profile and the type of quarterbacks that he had to protect in college, Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray are both very mobile quarterbacks. So the Bills are a perfect fit for Cody Ford because Josh Allen is a mobile quarterback. He likes to get out of the pocket, and Cody Ford would do a good job in protecting him. So in this offseason alone, the Bills have signed 1,602 pounds of power. All of their linemen combined for 1,602 pounds. That is a lot of linemen. Typically you will see a team try to get like some receivers or skilled players, and the Bills, they know they can do that. They know they have years to get more weapons on offense, but right now they're trying to build a foundation. One of the hardest things to build within an offense is an offensive line. An offensive line is the most underrated, positions in football, but it's the most needed. I played in the O-line when I was in high school, and I had to change my position from linebacker to offensive line and defensive line to help my team. And I realized how important an offensive line is to a team. And if you want to execute your schemes, you have to have the line to do it. Now, Brian Daboll was a coach for the New England Patriots, and he was a coach for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Two very successful franchises. So when you look at New England, they have a lot of fullbacks, tight ends. They use a lot of tight ends, fullbacks. So Brian Daboll wants to incorporate that within the offense. Last year, they did not really have a tight end threat. So what do they do this offseason? They signed Tyler Kroft. Now, Tyler Kroft, to a lot of people, he may not, shock you with his athleticism, or he may not be as exciting, but he is a great gadget player only due to the fact that he can play fullback, he can be a great blocking tight end, and every now and then he'll catch a couple of passes and, surprise the defense. So they signed him to, be a little creative within the offense. If Tyler Kroft does not excite you, then Dawson Knox should excite you because he is an extremely athletic tight end out of Ole Miss. He ran a 4.5 at the combine, and he can be that vertical threat that the Bills need in the tight end position. He kind of reminds me of a George Kittle, a guy that can run fast like a receiver, but has the size and strength of a tight end. He also averaged 15 yards a catch, so this is a very good pick by the Bills. The other tight end that the Bills signed was Tommy Sweeney. Now, Tommy's best year in college was 2017 when he had over 500 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. But when you look at Boston College, they were a very balanced team. They ran the ball and they threw the ball a lot. So Tommy Sweeney had his hands full. So this is a very good pick, and he adds another element to the Bills. And maybe Knox and Sweeney can be like Goddard and Ertz from the Eagles, two very athletic tight ends. So this was a good pick by the Bills. Once again, in my previous Bills video, I was stating that the Bills should not target a big play receiver like Antonio Brown or DK Metcalf. They should be focusing on getting a foundation, and that's what they did. They got possession wide receivers. Even though John Brown is a deep threat, he's humble, coachable, and he can make a lot of plays for Josh Allen. I predicted that the Bills were going to get Cole Beasley, in which they actually did. In my opinion, the Bills got their own version of Julian Edelman, because when you see Cole Beasley, even though he's a little smaller than Edelman, Cole Beasley has that clutch gene. I believe, Beasley saved Dak Prescott in the earlier part of his career, because when Dak needed somebody to make that clutch catch on third down or on the goal line, Cole Beasley always came up. He always rise to the occasion. So Measly Beasley is going to help Josh Allen a lot. The more athletes the Bills sign on their team, the more invisible Cole Beasley is going to look to an opposing defense, because the reason he had so much success at Dallas was because the opposing defense will look at Ezekiel Elliott and Dez Bryant, and that's going to open up opportunities for Cole Beasley, especially on third downs. Now, this kid right here has high potential. Now, many of you guys may not know who this guy is, but David Seals led all FBS schools in 2017 in touchdown receptions. When everybody was talking about Kevin White, this guy was really balling out. Now, he could be the next Adam Thielen due to the fact that, he's an undrafted rookie. And in the preseason he can make a name for himself, and if he becomes, a factor for the Bills, he'll be a very good weapon. He's 6'3". He's kind of similar to Eric Decker, and he's fast like Adam Thielen, so he has like the combination of, size and speed. So this guy can be a steal in the draft, and you can just tell that this kid loves football. When you see him in interviews, when you see him practice, when you see him in the game, he loves football. And I love the fact that the Bills are signing these humble players, these players who just want to play football. So this offseason, the Bills signed the undead. Yes, Frank Gore is the undead. I'm sorry, this guy never dies. I mean, he's like a Super Saiyan. Every time, he gets hurt, he comes back stronger. This guy is 35, and he played 14 games last year as a running back. Guys, that isn't heard of. 35 plus running back usually means retirement. But in Frank Gore's case, I guess that means 5 more years. He also can mentor guys like Devin Singletary, etc. And he has, the playoff and Super Bowl experience. So this is very good for the Buffalo Bills. This year's draft, the Bills picked Devin Singletary in the 3rd round with their 74th pick. Now, this is a very good pick because, according to analysts, he's like a mini LaShawn McCoy. In 2017, Devin Singletary led all Division I schools in rushing TDs with 27 and scored 162 total points. Very strategic by the Bills to get somebody similar to LaShawn McCoy, because just 4 years ago, LaShawn McCoy was one of the best running backs in the NFL. So if you draft somebody similar to his skill set, maybe you can have a LaShawn McCoy 2.0. The Bills also signed TJ Yeldon to help out in the passing game. So Yeldon will be another good gadget running back, heading into the season. Now, I do not know if they're going to keep all these running backs come week 1, but right now, their backfield looks really solid. So the Bills signed another quarterback, and his name is Tyree Jackson. This guy is very similar to Cam Newton. He's 6'7", 245, has a very high ceiling, and the Bills are looking to develop him as a passer and probably get some trade value out of him. Brandon Beane, what a slide dog. Before draft day, this GM, Brandon Beane, had a meeting with 6 other GMs just to get an idea of what they were going to draft. Now that's some crafty stuff right there. I mean, the Bills want to win, and they want to win now, and they're finding every way they can to try to win, whether that's adding depth or spying on other GMs. The Bills, by far, did a great job this offseason, but now the real season is just 3 months away. The preseason, the preseason is a synopsis of what the actual season is. So now that the Bills have got the pieces, I would like to see how it plays out in the preseason, let alone the regular season. But as a football fan, this is very exciting to see, seeing a franchise build a team, getting the components they need. This can be a good team in the making right before our very eyes. I'm very excited to see what all the other 32 teams are going to be like come preseason, let alone the regular season.
This is GWD, making the game-winning drive. Stay tuned.
Wake up and every day told me a promise that I would make it one day as an artist. Music's the only thing keeping me honest. I know that I want it, I'm hoping I got it. Addicted to all this remotely melodic.